seen her before the World Championships?
Oh.
No, actually.
Oh my God. Now, that was one of those. If that doesn't put a finizzle in her schnizzle, nothing else will. That was a terrible, terrible kind of spill. The worst that you can take.
Like Jesse Jackson tonight. You're rhyming all over the place, aren't you?
Oh, gosh.
Triple toe, double toe, and then a fall off the end of it, which was absolutely unnecessary and uncalled for.
Double axel.
No lift.
Half loop. Triple Salchow it was supposed to be.
No lift on that. No step up into it. No height. She needs to prove that. And this layback is really almost third-rate position.
Very slow. No
and very bad
into
position.
Well, I think this program just looks as though it's been slapped together without very much thought or intelligence put into it. It's a series of backstrokes and forward strokes like this into one or more triple jumps. And unfortunately, it's neither interesting nor original nor unique.
Not down far enough in a sit spin. If it's a sit spin, it should be in a sitting position, not sort of perching on the edge of the chair. Again, look at the ease of that and the way she just floats through it, completing the revolution in the air and then settling down. Now, that's wonderful. Turn your foot out here, my dear. Now, here's her spiral. So that is not a great stretch. This is better. Again, my least favorite position. Oh, good. Another catch foot.
You like those?
Well, I have to. We see so many of them. That straight line footwork was really not aggressively fast or terrific. Had a lot of different moves, all the changes, the brackets, the rockers, the turns, that sort of thing. But it did not inspire as a straight line footwork.
I think they need to give this program a little more energy and relate to the crowd a little more.
Aren't you talking about a little more story in the West Side story? Right here is one of those things that all skaters just absolutely hope that will never happen to them. Right there, his coat, forgive me for laughing, but his coat caught in her skate and it must have been made of stretch material. I'm sorry. I apologize for laughing because it's a terrifying act when it happens to you. Anyone who remembers the Torvill and Dean performance remembers how slowly they started and how it was a long, steady rise to the climax at the end. You know, in my book, this was a very good performance. I mean, their steps and their movements were all very strong, but there was no arc to it. There was none of the creativity that was brought to it by Torvill and Dean. I mean, this program was like a roller coaster that was going here, there, and elsewhere, and very good and very interesting, but it didn't have that suspense rising to the great and final seduction. I mean, it was sort of like watching an Alfred Hitchcock movie where you knew the bomb was under the chair. You were just waiting for it to go off. It didn't happen here. If you're going to try to copy an icon, you'd better be very careful about it. Once you're seeing Maria Callas in Tosca or heard Judy Garland sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, you'd better be careful about trying to copy it. If you're going to sing the national anthem, you better be Whitney Houston and not Roseanne Barr. He always keeps me riveted.
But was there a program?
No, of course not.
There wasn't a program.
There was arm movement and jumps.
Yeah.
In fact, it was once said about Fred Astaire, he can bamboozle you with his hands. And that's what he's doing. He's bamboozling us with his hands.
It's certainly not the Carmen we're used to. You'll notice also that there's an extreme expressiveness on her part in particular. Does it work for you? No. I find her absolutely beautiful and fascinating. But as one newspaper said, her expressiveness will reach to the 70th row of the arena. Unfortunately, there's only 30 rows in it.
Music, Scheherazade, Rimsky-Korsakov. Incidentally, this was first danced as a ballet as early as 1910. The Paris Opera with Vyacheslav Nijinsky.
Did you see it?
Absolutely. I was in the first row. That spin, I'm sorry to say, was a button camel. Had to get it in once in the last 40 years when I stopped calling them button camels.
40.
Yep.
Keep going.
No, I stopped 40 years ago calling them button camels.
Oh.
Michael Weiss, first of all, thank you for turning this into a gymnastic event. Timothy Gable, I've got to tell you, there's that wonderful old saying, blowing your brains out, man, he blowing his brains out. Is he coming through? And you're beginning to develop that very beautifully.
What was your first car, Dick?
A beautiful powder blue Chevrolet convertible, 1947. It was the pits. I was just absolutely running around like the king of you know what.
Have you had this happen to you?
Yeah, I fell on my face. I landed into the barriers. I pulled myself up. I couldn't see the person standing 2 feet. I was so angry I couldn't see straight. But I finished, and I kept falling. And then I walked out onto 52nd Street outside Madison Square Garden. I'm sorry.
And besides, I tell you, my friend from the Midwest city of, where did he say he was from?
Pittsburgh.
From Pittsburgh.
Not quite the Midwest, but
almost.
Yeah.
My dear friend from Pittsburgh. Try getting out there on an 1/8 of an inch wide blade, doing 3.5 or 4 revolutions in the air and landing, all to the beat of the music, all in the eyes of the judges and in front of 10,000 people. It's a tough scene.